Hey, it's Richard Planet PE, and in today's video we're going to be looking at heart rate, stroke volume and cardiac output. So 3 terms around the cardiovascular system. So these 3 terms are really important in exams, and they're generally ones that people struggle a bit and get sometimes a bit confused. So I'm going to try and help you out today to make sure that you don't drop any marks in your exam and you know exactly why an elite level athlete maybe can run further than we can, and the reasons of why maybe their heart rates are a bit different to ours. So let's start with the first one of heart rate. Heart rate is defined as the amount of times your heart beats in 1 minute, and it's recorded in BPM, so beats per minute. Now you and I maybe have a resting heart rate of somewhere between 60 to 80 beats a minute, and an elite athlete would be far lower than that. So they could be as low as maybe 40 beats a minute. And the reason for that is about the other 2 terms, so stroke volume and cardiac output. So let's take this idea of stroke volume then. So stroke volume is the amount of blood that your heart ejects every single time it beats. So essentially, the heart is a muscle. It is a pump that is there to try and move blood around the body. Now, the larger and the stronger your heart is, the more forceful the contraction that it produces is. So therefore, it can move more blood. So if somebody's stroke volume is higher, it's an indication that they are fitter, that they are stronger and healthier around their heart than somebody whose resting heart rate might be a bit higher. So the reason it's linked is the fact that if my stroke volume goes up, my heart has to beat less often to move the same amount of blood. So stroke volume, therefore, is a real indicator of somebody's physical fitness. So therefore, the lower the resting heart rate is, that is an indication of someone's physical fitness. Now, if we're saying that stroke volume is the amount of blood which is ejected from the heart every single beat, we then need to think about, well, how many times does the heart beat in a minute? And then we end up with something called cardiac output. So if I know how much blood is moved every single beat, which is stroke volume, and I multiply that by the amount of times my heart beats in 1 minute, I'm left with cardiac output, which is defined as the amount of blood ejected from the heart in 1 minute. Now, during exercise, the amount of blood that is moving around is vast. And the reason is that your heart is beating incredibly quickly during exercise. So let's imagine that we're doing something like circuit training. Then we're trying to get our heart somewhere between 120 to 160 beats a minute. So we're beating once every half a second. And what that's going to mean is that there's big volumes of blood going around very quickly, because your stroke volume will remain high. So the amount of blood is moving around the body is significant. And also, your heart is beating regularly, so therefore we're getting blood shooting around the body incredibly quickly. Now, during exercise, your cardiac output will increase. During exercise, your heart rate will increase. So these are what we call effects of exercise. These are immediate effects of exercise. They're happening right there and then when you are exercising. So the things that you need to know in your exam are the definitions. So we had those. We had the amount of times that your heart beats in 1 minute for heart rate. We had the amount of blood ejected from the heart in every single beat. That is stroke volume. And then we had the amount of blood ejected from the heart in 1 minute, which is what we'd use stroke volume times heart rate, which equals cardiac output. And they're the 3 terms that we need to understand. So in your exam, you've got to be able to say exactly what they are, you've got to be able to say exactly how they're used, and then ideally to be able to say how they are affecting performance. So somebody who is fitter is going to have a lower resting heart rate and is going to have a higher maximal cardiac output. So again, that's another term that we'll look at when we look at the effects of exercise and carry on with these topics. So if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Try and get videos out every single week as often as possible. Check me out on Instagram and on Twitter at @planet_PE, and keep revising and ask any questions that you need to, because that's what I'm here for. Cheers, guys.